The Women Conquer Business Show is an educational, how-to women in business podcast that features stories, marketing news, and real-life experiences from fun and friendly hosts Jen McFarland and Shelly Carney. Join us as we dive into the details so you can slay marketing overwhelm, streamline processes, and amplify your impact. You'll learn strategies and tactics, leadership skills, and practical advice from successful women entrepreneurs to help you grow, nurture, and sustain your business.
Whoa, hey, welcome to Women Conquer Business. I'm Jen McFarland. We are talking today, Shelly Carney and I are talking today about how to monetize your content from content creator to content entrepreneur. Being a content entrepreneur drives the creator economy. We've been reading all of these studies about how much money content creators make, what it is that they do all the time. And we think it's important to really talk about how a creator economy helps your audience, helps you build your business. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to explore the ways you move from having a hobby to a jobby to becoming a business owner while creating the content that you love. So we'll talk about preparing mentally, emotionally, and physically to become a digital CEO and how to build a money-making machine. This is exciting. I think I'm just going to listen. I'm just going to listen.
I want to make a money-making machine. How do I do it? How do I do it?
No, I have, well, Shelly knows I've monetized for a long time. And so this is kind of exciting to really share some of what I know, listen to what Shelly knows, and help you along the way.
That's right. And we're excited to share this. And if you also have some great ideas for things that you've done, we hope that you'll share that with us.
Yeah, let us know in the chat if you are watching today live. If you're listening, please send us an email, reach out to us, let us know how you're doing it, or if we missed something. There's all kinds of ways of doing this. There's no one right way.
That's right.
We're going to share what we know and what we've learned. So what's up over there in New Mexico?
Hey, I'm home in New Mexico, and I'm very happy to be home with my husband and with Toby once again. I'm in the studio, so I have sounds. Yay! And all the bells and whistles, which I love. So that means I can get back to work on my course, recording the videos, keeping them short and focused. The problem with Livecast Life YouTube series that we have is each one is about an hour long, and nobody wants to sit through 18, 19 hours of content to pull out the best pieces. So I'm going to do that for you. You're welcome. And if you're interested in learning more about all this live streaming stuff and how does this work and how do I do a podcast that is video first, and because that is now a really big thing. So I'll be talking all about that in this course. And I'm really looking forward to it.
You know why video first is such a big deal? I mean, there's a lot of reasons. People love video, but it's also that they've found that audiograms don't work.
Why is that? Why don't people love my audiograms? They're so cool. I worked hard on them.
They're not really interactive, I guess. Think about it. It's like, why would I look at a picture with words scrolling? I don't know. Anyway, it's so weird. I think you sent me that link too. Didn't you? The audiogram one?
Oh, I don't know.
Or no?
I love my audiograms, but they are work, and it's just so much easier just to show up live and do a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though Descript makes it a little easier. That's why I use Lately to chop up the videos and share them on social media, because people like to see videos. They like to do that. So that's my chopping up video sound. So I was on the Tactus Media podcast with Brian Cargill. We had a really great time. It was one of the first times I've talked about Epiphany courses kind of out in the wild. And it was right as I had turned on the website. And it was just so cool to talk about, we talked about streamlining your marketing processes, and it's on both YouTube and on Spotify and all the regular podcast places. But it was just really neat to talk about Epiphany and why I'm so passionate about, kind of like you said, short courses that help people just get through the decision-making that they have to do without having to, pour over 20 hours of content and then be like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. and they can make that decision so much quicker, uh, and they can modify it to their own needs, and that's so helpful.
Yeah.
And you're going to put that link
Yeah.
in the description for
I'll
everybody.
put that in the oh, should I put it as a comment? Can
You
people
can certainly do that.
let me do that? Oh my goodness.
Box. Put it in there.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it is a so we have it's on YouTube, and again, I don't have the link in front of me for, Spotify, but you can certainly sorry. My mom's on my list, so she just called me in the middle of this. I'm like, I thought I had do not disturb on, but
But she's allowed in anytime.
she's allowed in anytime. So
Isn't that funny? Our families always seem to call us right in the middle of a live show.
I know. Well, it's fun.
If you people would watch our live show, you'd know we were live.
Yeah, obviously, Mom, you're not on there. So if you want to learn more about Epiphany courses, head over to epiphanycourses.com or take the time to watch this interview with Brian Cargill at Tactus Media. He does all kinds of cool stuff with video as well. He's a local person that I've met in several different groups, and he's just a really, really cool guy. So let's talk about breaking news.
Let's do it.
All right. So Google, who is not into privacy, they're going through all sorts of lawsuits in Europe where, they have GDPR, they have all these privacy laws, and Google is always just kind of like, and even though they have privacy laws in California and they're out of California, I think they're still like, whatever, we don't care. So now in the wake of the Dobbs decision by the Supreme Court on abortion, everybody's saying, well, what's Google going to do? People are going to be able to track where they've gone. That gets sent, shared with data brokers. People are going to know where women are going if they're going to, if they're going to abortion clinics or even counselors or anything. So now Google has said they're going to auto delete location if it's in a quote sensitive place. I don't believe them. A lot of people don't believe them. I have a link to an article about it from my friends over at nearmedia.co, and it's an interesting thing. So I talk a lot about privacy. I've said before that I don't have, Alexa and all kinds of things in my house, and it's because I worked in data privacy. So it's not just some fly-by-night Jen's crazy conspiracy theory kind of thing. It's because I know how easy it is to track information and get the information and sell it to other people so people know about it. And I personally don't believe Google because I've been following all of these court cases where they're just kind of like, we'll pay the fine. So if you want to learn more about Google auto tracking your location and that they want to auto delete it, or they're saying that auto delete it, head over to nearmedia.co. We will also put the link in the show notes as I think it's a pretty interesting read. And I always like to support David Mim and his partners over there. They do a lot of really great stuff. As some of you know, David is the architect of the Prosper Portland Inclusive Business Resource Network's digital marketing program. I've worked with David for a long time. He's a trusted friend. So whatever they say over there, for the most part, is just right aligned with my own views when it comes to marketing. So that's an interesting thing. There's also an interesting tidbit in that article about Shopify and how they're trying to really conquer more of the consumer market. They've done really well with B2B. If you have Shop Pay and they have a whole host of apps now with Shopify that they're trying to break more into the consumer market. I got the Shop Pay app once because I wanted to try. I bought my husband a guitar and I wanted to know when the guitar was coming. And then I realized that it would tell me whenever I ordered from a Shopify website, which I'm not always paying attention to, that it would tell me when all of those orders would come. And so it's a really cool app. And so they have a whole bunch of apps, and that's also in that article, which is a pretty interesting read overall. The other tidbit, the other form of breaking news that I have is 2022 is the year of of relationship marketing. Now, I've been teaching relationship marketing for a long time. I've talked about it for a really long time. because I've followed people that also talk about relationship marketing for a long time. So the quote from the article that I think is really intriguing is, as a marketer, um, using personalization is not something that you can sleep on anymore. Not after COVID. People want to have a voice, they want to be recognized, and they want to be given recognition for their allegiance and loyalty to brands. So it means that you can't just automate your marketing. You can't automate your personalization. You have to really work harder to make sure that your customers feel special and heard and needed. So that's what this means in terms of relationship marketing. Now, I'm in Portland, Oregon. I was teaching to a group even last night and talking about Mark Schaefer, who says, the most human company wins. There are a lot of people that talk about this. In Portland, this is the only way to do business. Relationship marketing is how I teach marketing 100% of the time, because Portland is the biggest small town I've ever lived in. Everybody seems to know everybody. If you start, messing everything up, then, word gets out and it's really hard. I think that's the case in a lot of communities. But in Portland, we have so many small businesses. We don't have a ton of Fortune 500 companies until and even in Oregon in general. So it's run on small business, which is built on relationships. And so when I see this, I'm like, well, certainly 2022 is the year of relationship marketing, given COVID, and COVID has changed the way that we shop. But I would argue that for small businesses, it's been the year of relationship marketing forever.
Mhm.
It's just how you do marketing, is you talk about what's going on, you help people on a one-to-one basis. Marketing is also tied to your customer service efforts and different things like that. So I think this article is really interesting. It's in marketingtechnews.net. We'll put that also in the chat and also in the show notes. It's an interesting read. And I would say that, every year is the year of relationship marketing, in my opinion.
Well, I was listening to a podcast, and they were making a great point that is, there's a trend coming up, and it's especially prevalent in business travel, that these different companies, like for instance, hotels and rental cars and things like that, they're getting to where they're like seeing how much they can get away with not giving you anymore and still charging you the same amount.
Yeah.
Not cleaning your room, unless you specifically request it. Toby just stayed in a hotel on his trip to Florida, and they told him they would clean the room every 3 days if he requested it. And he said, "Well, can I request it more often? I want it every day." And they're like, "Oh, well, okay, I guess." It's like, you have to beg for the things that they used to just be part of the customer experience. So they're just taking
Right.
things away.
Yeah.
Airlines have those clubs. They're limiting the amount of time that you can spend in that club now, because families have been starting to come in and use the resources that they're being offered, and they're staying in there, taking away
Oh,
from the business traveler, basically. But they've just made this
yeah.
rule: clubs, this much time, then you're out. And they're just starting this, eating away at all of the customer experience. And they're seeing how much they can get away with without you complaining and you
Mhm.
quitting on them. And there's other places like print media. Instead of, we're not able to send you a magazine anymore because of supply chain issues, so we're just going to change it over to an electronic um, magazine, and we're going to charge you the same amount, and that's
Which
going to
is
be okay, right? you
That's
know uh,
funny.
just
I
taking things away.
and see, this is where you can take advantage of the fact that you're small. And because this is a small business show, you have the ability, as long as it's within your margins, and you have the ability to make things personal. You have the ability to be very personalized in your marketing. It may take a little longer sometimes to provide that extra customer service. But one of the things that we found during COVID is not a lot of people feel loyalty anymore. And I think it's because of what you just described. Why would I feel loyalty? Why would I go back to the hotel that's like, I'm only going to clean the room if, I don't know.
If you whine about it.
If you whine about it, if you complain, we don't even want to come in every 3 days.
Uh-huh.
But they're going to charge the same
and that's
more.
my fault.
Right. Right. So
it's over. Let's get on it.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. I don't get it. But as a small business, you have the ability to give people something a little extra. You have the ability to maintain your same level of services, if not increase them in little ways that are low cost and mean the world to your customers.
And you might see places like this where you can jump into that empty space, oh, well, people aren't happy with their hotels. Maybe I can do an Airbnb that's cleaned every day or whatever it is. How can I take advantage of these big companies not offering the full customer experience anymore? Can I supplement that customer experience? Can that be a business for me?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Did you have anything under breaking news? Are you ready to do the training?
Move into it. Are you ready to move into it? Here we go.
I'm ready.
We have some slides. Let's do our slides. Here we go. Monetize your content from content creator to content entrepreneur. And that's a differentiation, isn't it? It's going from a hobby to a jobby to a business. So what is a hobby? A hobby is something that's fun. You like to play in your hobby, and you do not expect to make money from it. Often you expect to put money into it. We spend money on our hobbies. If our hobby is knitting, we go out and we buy the yarn, we buy the patterns, and we watch the YouTube videos, and we make our knitting projects, and we don't expect to make money from that. But someday we might have some things that we would sell on Etsy. And that might be a jobby because we are maybe making it, even amount. We're spending as much as we're making, or, we're kind of processing through that from a hobby to a jobby and selling some of our items, our crafts. And then we say, you know what? I really want to make a business that makes money, makes more money than I'm spending, and actually gives me money to spend on other things. Now it's a business. Now I care. Now it's serious, right?
Right.
From playing to trying to committing. And we go from renting, like we rent when we are on social media, when we are on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all of the social media, we're renting. We are just testing it out. We're saying, hi, everybody, come follow me. Look what I'm doing. And I've got stuff to tell you. That's great. That's a wonderful way to start. But those platforms can be taken away. They can change overnight, and they often do. Everybody's like right now really excited about TikTok. That could change. I have a friend who's got over 2 million followers on TikTok, but does he make a living from that? No, he does not. And TikTok is not owned by him. He can't do if they decide to make a change. And then we can subscribe, right? We can get like applications and software programs that we subscribe to that we pay monthly on. And we have a little bit more control then. For instance, StreamYard. We subscribe to StreamYard. We pay monthly on it, and we have some control there. They listen to us if we ask for certain things. We say, here's what I need from StreamYard to do my content creation and to spread my message. I need these things, and they will consider it because you are a subscriber. They're making money from you. But when you own something, like when you buy, for instance, SendFox, which we'll be talking about later, you now own that app. And when you have ownership over something like your email list or your website, now you have some control, and it's not going to change overnight. You can have some dependability within that ownership. You can go from one social platform as a hobby. I'm on YouTube and I'm great and I love YouTube and that's it. because it's a hobby. But when you start going, you know what, maybe I want to be on YouTube, and I want to be on LinkedIn, and I want to be on Twitter, and I want to have video, and I want to have audio, and I want to have text, and I have all these formats, and I have all this material, all this content, that would be more of a commitment, and it's moving you along that path towards a branded experience. And the branded
Yeah.
experience is just enveloping the customer in you, right? Everything that is you and your world, and bringing them into that world. What do you think, Jen?
I think that's absolutely true. I think that, and it is a process, and part of it too is like, if you are an entrepreneur and you start creating content, are you becoming a content entrepreneur, or are you kind of a hobby creator? And I went on a journey like this, where I have my consulting business. I started creating content because I wanted to, not because I had some big master plan. I don't recommend this necessarily as a business tactic. Okay. But when the Women Conquer Business show started, I just thought it would be fun.
Mhm.
And I
Sure.
thought I would have a good time. And I did. But it was not part of any sort of strategy. This was before podcasting was what it is today. It was just a good thing to do. It seemed fun. And then I just realized I really enjoyed it. So I started kind of moving through this cycle that you're talking about, all the while continuing to create, and coach and be a business strategist and marketer at the same time. So I kind of started committing slowly to make it a little bit more central to my business. And now, that it's monetized. The money I spend on the podcast it's taken care of, because that's why I have all these toys and stuff, is because it's paid for by the monetization revenue streams that I have for it.
That's right. That's right. So this slide is from The Tilt, and they talked about the top channels that content creators use to reach their audiences. And of course, the number one is social media. And again, that's a really good place to start, but remember, that's rented and you don't have a lot of control over it. Then the next one is an email newsletter. So that is awesome, right? That's exactly what you want to get going, is getting those people from social media to subscribing to your email newsletter, because now they're on your email list and you can have that one-on-one conversation with them through email.
The other thing about email versus social media is that it's before we get onto the blog, the email, when you want somebody to do something, like buy something or read something, watch you, listen to you, people, social media is kind of more to be social, right?
That's
So
right.
the email newsletter is where people go and expect to have some sort of transaction happen. That's why they're letting you into their inbox. That's why they've subscribed. So as a more transactional space, you need to take advantage of that. And if you're not doing it, which, as many of you know, I wasn't when we started doing this show again in last winter, then it kind of changes things when you start talking about it, and it helps boost things like listeners and viewers and things like that when you're really sharing what it is that you're doing, because most people don't see what you're doing on social media.
And I have a really good friend. Again, he's got more than 2 million followers on TikTok. He's got like close to 10,000, I think around 10,000 on YouTube. And I asked him, I'm like, do you have an email list? Do you have a newsletter? No. Why not? Well, I don't really like reading newsletters. I'm like, it's not about you.
Well, and it's also
People love you, they want to hear from you.
Well, and it's also to your point you made earlier about, you know, algorithms and the rented space and stuff. Like, it could all change and those people could go away. You
That's right.
don't own your followers. So it's not like a space that you own. Not that you ever own your followers, but you can't, it's not a list. You can't just pick up that list of people and say, now I'm going over here. But people who really want to engage with you, people who really want to learn from you, people who want to listen to you, they subscribe, and then wherever you go, they will continue to follow you. And that's why I tell a lot of people to make sure you're asking people to subscribe to your email list on social media. And a lot of people don't do it, even though it works.
Yeah. And part of his issue is that on TikTok, because he's on TikTok, he has a lot of young people, maybe even, under 18 who are watching him. And he's concerned about, getting them on an email list, and then him having this email list of young people that are under 18. And I said, well, then you just have to put some kind of a disclaimer, because he does that on the rest of his show. He talks about, if you're under 18, if you're going to send me anything, make sure you get your parents' permission and blah, blah, blah. Because he's always really good about that. And I said, just do that again. But you've got to have that email list. If you don't have any control over your, who's in your audience and how you can communicate with them, then what have you got?
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at this is what's so interesting about this graphic. You notice that millennials and Gen Z creators, they don't use blogs or email newsletters or even like online events and stuff. They have a different approach. But what I don't see is how they are capturing like a customer list from, a group of followers from the way that they're doing it. If you teach online or in-person events, you can collect names and email addresses, ways to contact people later. If you have a blog on a website that has like a way for people to subscribe, an email newsletter, those kinds of things, you have ways that you can capture people's attention, and the people who really like you can continue to follow you. But a lot, from looking at this, it just seems like people are like, well, people in my generation don't email, because I've heard that, like Gen Z and younger, they don't really do email. There has to be some way. There has to be some way that you can reach out to people. And so that's kind of the challenge. If you have a younger customer base, is you still have to have some way that you can have your followers engage with you on a platform that you own, so that if something happens, you're still going to be able to reach out to them.
Yeah. And I think it's a performer mentality. Performers are used to, working with venues, showing up, and then whoever's in the audience is who they perform for. But when you become, a performer who has a following, who has a fan base, then it's really important to be able to have some kind of a communication going on with your fan base, outside of just showing up.
Yeah. I follow all kinds of performers and I get emails from them. How else am I going to know when they're speaking in my area? So yeah, you have to have a way to communicate with your followers so that they know what's going on.
That's right. Let's move to the next slide. You also want to think about multiple revenue streams. Now, you're not going to start off with this. This is something you grow into. Multiple platforms, being in, for instance, right now we're on 3 Facebook pages, one LinkedIn page, 2 YouTube channels, and 2 Twitter accounts live right now. We are multiple platforms. And then we take this material and we share it out in other places as well. I share it on my LinkedIn blog or my newsletter. Jen does the same. And she also shares it out as social media posts. And funny thing is we're both in Missing Letters. So she puts it up there as curated content, and I end up sharing it out that way. And I'm like, I got credits for it too that way. And it's my stuff. So it's pretty cool. Take advantage of the system, so right? Funny. Multiple platforms, multiple formats. And that includes video, audio, text, images, using all of that medium to attract the attention of people who learn and consume in different ways. And then multiple income opportunities, and that's your revenue streams. And we're going to get more deeply into that, and Jen's going to share some of her revenue streams with us.
Yeah, I think that if we could go back to the previous slide, if you can do that. Sure. When we're talking about multiple platforms, it's important to go, to talk about that. So when we're talking about multiple platforms, we do social media, we do email marketing, we do a blog on our websites. I have in the past done online events. I'm looking to launch a few in the coming months. I've done in-person events. I taught last night to a group of people. I teach all the time. I have a podcast. There are a few things that I haven't done, but I have been a blogger. I've blogged on other people's sites at times. So you have to, when you look at this for like how this works, you have to look at this and be like, oh, that's a lot of work. Or if you're like, oh, this looks interesting, like that's maybe a hint that you're going to move into being more of a creator entrepreneur. And you also have to look at this as like, this is what it looks like when you start to go and look at multiple channels and multiple different streams. So anyway, sorry, not to back
Oh,
us
no.
up a slide, but this is really fundamentally what we're talking about.
And you can see print media, and I count that as also having books available on Amazon for people to buy.
Yeah.
And have a grab my book here. They can have a book in their hands that you wrote, and you can take this when you go to teach in person and speak at conferences, and you could sell these in the back of the room, and you can see, I am an author, I wrote this, and you have a lot of authority because of that, and it just raises you up as that content entrepreneur.
It certainly gives you a lot of gravitas to stand there and say, I've done this, I've taken all of my thoughts about a certain topic and put them out there. And that's another way of doing it, not just for the sales that you can make, but it shows commitment for what you're doing when you take the time to write a book. So
That's right.
all of which is to say, like, you have so many options when it comes to revenue streams, when it comes to what these channels look like for you, that you don't need to really feel limited at all. Because we're not even talking about Web3. Web3 is a whole separate thing, like where you can go out and like own your channels and have NFTs and all kinds of stuff. I mean, that's a whole separate thing. So there's like a whole range of the quote unquote right way to do it. And that's what you really have to think about is, where are your people? How am I going to do it? How am I going to create a place that I own?
That's right. And these bubbles that we're showing right now, we've talked about this. Jen and I both, our biggest bubble is the consulting and coaching. And then second biggest is the online courses and digital products, which is a great revenue stream, but it takes time to build those. But once they're up and running, then you can just, keep that going and bringing in more money. And what are some of your other big revenue streams?
So I would say that, it's so funny to look at these bubbles. I actually moved it bigger so it's in front of me so I can I can look at it. Because certainly when I've run live events or online events, those were mostly to drive people into coaching and consulting. It wasn't so much to have them go into anything else. I mean, I'm assuming that books are one of your big bubbles. One of my big ones, and we were trying to, it was so funny, before the show, we were trying to figure out where it fits into this whole bubble structure. For those of you who are listening, it's a list with percentages, and we'll put this in the show notes, of things like paid content versus sponsored content, donations, coaches and consulting, barters, memberships, books, advertising. There are so many different options on here in terms of how you can monetize your content. And then what they've done is, the size of the bubble is based on, how big that little slice of the pie is among the, I believe, 1,000 content creators or content entrepreneurs that they interviewed for this. And the two biggest bubbles are consulting and coaching. What I have, and we decided, I believe, that it was a paid content subscription. But what I have that has grown as time went on is, it's a subscription that I don't run. So part of me looks at it as like, since it's not something I own, it could go away at any time. And I view it like that. So I don't use it as even though it is 5 figures, I don't necessarily view it as something that is central to my business, because I also feel like it could go away. Like, I love that I have it. And because I don't own that company, it's not something that I just, latch my whole business onto. So the way it works, and this is the way that it works, I think, a lot with content creators, is you have to know when to say no and you have to know when to say yes. So when I started my podcast, I was approached by a company that wanted to repurpose shows. And this was like 4 years ago. And I thought, why not? I'll take a flyer on this. So if you create content that appeals, so these are corporate people that use them as lessons. And it's the baseline for what we've created over at Epiphany Courses, which is, these are short 20-minute or less audio lessons that I've created. and it's sold on a whole other platform that people pay a lot of money for their corporations and their employees to learn. And then I've taken them because it's non-exclusive and I still own the content, and I've placed them on Epiphany courses to help small business owners because it translates very well into both environments. But for that content subscription that I don't own, I get 12% of every listen. And I don't unfortunately have all the stats, so I don't know what's most popular or anything like that. But I make a tidy sum off of content that somebody else is advertising, somebody else is running, and it's a small bubble on this Tilt thing because I think it's very unusual. But what I would say is if you are in like teaching and you do how to, which is a lot of what I do, or you have some content that's really unique, sometimes you just have to find if there's another place that it could be sold. So this is completely like when people talk about passive income, this is about the most passive income that it could possibly be. I don't have to market it. All I had to do was edit it to their specifications way back years ago. And the amount of money I make from it continues to grow because the longer it's there, the more people seem to find it and listen to it on this other platform. So it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a lot of work. It just means you have to find the thing that makes the most sense for what it is that you're creating. So I would say that for me, yeah, certainly coaching and consulting is my biggest, output from all the creative work that I do. I also get speaker fees. And then, like I said, I also have this paid content subscription on a platform I don't own. Then I'm also building my own platform that'll be a membership, which is another one on here. One of the things that I think is really interesting. So one of the marketers that I follow a lot, his name is Mark Schaefer. He has a social, I believe it's a social token that you can get. And part of my pushback on, NFTs and crypto and everything is that it's really bad for the environment. So he found a place where it's not bad for the environment. And I was like, well, no, I can't. I don't have that. I no longer have that complaint. But so it's interesting that as much as I see NFTs and social tokens and crypto Web3, that I see all of this talked about everywhere, they are actually a very, very tiny portion of how people monetize their content, at least at this time. The interesting thing about what the Tilt said is that content creators need to be more aware of it, and I would agree with that. Anyway, it's just really interesting to me. I think you have to do more than one of these to be successful. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Multiple revenue streams are going to support you when one is not working, one is, being affected by what's going on in the world. Say COVID is going on in the world, and suddenly you can't do speaking in person anymore, right?
Mhm.
So something else needs to take over. Your online events needs to take over. You need to have those multiple streams so that you can be more resilient and pivot and adapt as needed, so that you're always bringing in income. And you'll find those that work best for you, that are more reliable or more predictable, such as a membership. And once you've built that, you might have a monthly amount that you can pretty much depend upon. And then you'll know, okay, here's my budget. And now I know how much I can spend on advertising and things of that nature. So it's a place that you have to get to. It takes some time, but it is something that you can look forward to doing.
So what are the biggest ones for you? You have different monetization than I do because you have a following on YouTube. I've noticed now that Twitter has super followers, so they're kind of doing the same thing now where you can super follow someone on Twitter. My friend Bridget is doing this, Bridget Willard, where you can be a super follower and pay $3 a month and get exclusive content. You do something similar on YouTube, is that right? Where you have is it super,
We do
what
have
is it?
like
Is
a
it super
chat.
followers, super chat?
We have well, super chat is just for anybody who wants to come in. Once you have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours during a year, you can monetize your channel. And one of those perks is that you can offer super chat. People can give you money during your live stream, or they have super thanks, which is they can go to a past video and they can give you money on that video because they just want to support you and whatever it is that you're doing. That's more of a donation type of a thing, right? And then there's memberships. YouTube does offer a membership, which we've tried, and we just haven't been really happy with they take 30% of everything kind of a model. So we're trying to build our own membership separate from that. And you do this as you learn, you go,
Sure.
as you learn. And one of the things that you were talking about, now we don't make the money that you do by selling the content on another platform, but we have done Udemy courses, and we have had many people go through our live streaming Udemy course, and we make a little bit of money off of that. But we have known people who have had many courses on Udemy, and they make a good living off of it. So it is possible to do, but you have to keep at it.
You have to keep at it. And so then one of the reasons why I like Ghost so much is they don't take 30% off of your membership. So there's just a lot of different ways to slice and dice this. Again, there's no one right way. I do love this super follow. I love the super chat. I'm looking at these bubbles and I'm like, donations are 9%. So I'm in a Ghost creator community, and it's amazing. There's like these large publications on there. So these are people who are making a lot of money off of content. Some of it's blogs, some of it's videos, not a ton of podcasters on there. And some of them make tons of money on donations alone. And I need to dig into that a little bit deeper, because I don't know anybody that just off of, I've heard about it on Patreon. You could use Ghost as a Patreon, where they won't take the 30%. Because it's just not how they don't do it that way. I mean, you own your own website on Ghost. It's a lot like WordPress in that regard. And you can do donations through Ghost for that. But it's interesting because some people are like, oh, donations, nobody does that. And then other people are like, no, it really works. So I've always been intrigued by the idea of donations, either through YouTube or, have you gotten a lot of that where people go back and they watch old content and they donate?
Not so much past ones. It's more live ones. It's in the moment. People get excited. We have gotten contributions anywhere from 99 cents all the way up to $500 at one time.
Wow.
So they're really excited about whatever it is you're talking about, and they want to supporting us to do that thing.
I guess that my thing, and one of the things that was interesting about this Tilt survey is, they said that like people only spend like 40% of their time creating content, and they spend the rest of the time like really promoting these monetization channels. And one of the reasons why I have never pursued like a super follow, for example, like on Twitter, is like the idea of creating even more content is a little overwhelming for me. Like then I have these people who are paying me every month and I have to have something else that's special. But I know that that's a thing that like people love that. Patreon is very successful. Some people can really make it work by creating more. How do you feel about that? Doing that special membership, special subscription where you create more?
I had that friend that I keep telling you about. He does this, and he's got the different levels of membership, and he uses the YouTube membership to do that. And he does have to create that additional. Now for him, that's okay because he's doing it anyways. For instance, he's going to be recording an album, and he's going to do a video of them recording the album, and that's going to be content for the membership. Some of these things that he's doing anyway, he's just recording it and giving it to the membership. So if you're doing it anyway as part of your business, part of what you do, then that's great. Go ahead and offer that. But if it's going to be an imposition to go out and do that extra stuff, for me, it would. For me, we don't offer anything extra to our YouTube membership. If they want to join money, that's a donation, basically. Go ahead. That's how I look at it. Is if it's something you're doing anyway, video it, stick it in there for the members.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, for example, Super Follow, it really makes sense for my friend Bridget Willard because she talks about Twitter. She's on Twitter. She's a thought leader in Twitter. And so why wouldn't people pay to learn more about Twitter from her? And
She's
she's doing it
offering information that
anyway.
nobody else is. So
She's
that's
offering something special,
yeah,
so like it makes a lot of sense. So it's to me, that's when those types of subscriptions really make sense.
yeah,
So uh,
absolutely.
that's just my take on that. But I love this. I love these monetization channels. It's given me a lot to really think about in my own business. And hopefully it's given everybody out there something to really think about as well.
Well, let's get through the rest of the slides real quick.
Sorry.
Time investment, right? Time investment. So a hobby doesn't take that much time. A side gig takes a little more time. Part-time, a little more time, and full-time, all of your time.
Mhm.
So the more time you invest up front, the quicker you're going to see results. And that also applies to, how long is it going to take? How many months is it going to take to get to where you want to be? There are different levels of financial maturity. More than 50% of full-time content creators are supporting at least one person. So if you're going to go full-time, you are going to be able to have a business supporting you a lot
Mhm.
sooner than if you can only dedicate it enough time to it to be a hobby or a side gig. So again, we're showing another slide talking about pre-revenue, which is not earning money yet, early revenue, which earns money, but not enough to support one person. A solopreneur supports one person, and an entrepreneur substantial money and supports multiple people.
Mhm.
And that's kind of that what do you call that?
It's the
Chart.
trajectory for like how things work. And so I love this because I feel like it really dispels the myth that only a handful of people make money by creating content.
That's right.
So because the people who are in pre-revenue or in early revenue, it's a side gig and they're still making some money. And so what it really does is it says, look, there are a lot of people out there. You don't have to be super famous to support yourself creating content and monetizing it. You
100 true
just
fans, 1,000 true fans. You work
yeah,
your way up.
work your
Yeah,
way up. You start small and you just keep creating things that people enjoy and want to learn more about. And I think that that's what's really important here is we've given you a lot of different options for how you can monetize, and now we're telling you that more than 50% of full-time content creators are supporting at least one person. So
that's
you
right.
can do this.
You want to commit to your goals as a content entrepreneur. You need to build a system. And that could be as simple as on Mondays, I do these two things. On Tuesday, I do these two things. On Wednesday, I do a live show. On Thursday, I do this. Having that mapped out and that you commit to doing those things every single
Mhm.
week. Diversify your revenue streams. If you want to bring in advertising from YouTube because you've hit monetization levels,
Mhm.
that's one revenue stream that you can work on. If you have, things that you're selling online, digital products, that's another revenue stream. If you're speaking fees, if you're doing coaching, all those revenue streams, you want to diversify. Start
Mhm.
thinking about, okay, I'm solid on coaching right now, so what else can I create to bring in another stream? Own
Yeah.
your own assets. That's why after meeting Jen, I learned about AppSumo and buying things that we used to subscribe to. And, now we own these things, owning our own email list, owning our website, all those things that you have control over, owning those assets. And that is a thing that you want to shoot for.
Mhm.
Establishing your brand, making sure that you strengthen your brand every time you appear, every time you put out content, you're strengthening your brand, and treat it as a serious business, because the sooner you do that, the sooner you really commit to it, the sooner you're going to start seeing revenue come in.
And it is a serious business. Making content takes time. And if you love doing it and you realize that it takes a long time to edit the videos and everything, it is a serious business. It is serious. I want to like circle back to diversifying your revenue streams because I have to tell you, there actually was a time when I relied on my, I guess, residuals or royalties to help support me. Because when the pandemic hit, I'm a small business marketing person. Like I had nobody Like I lost everybody. So I had to rely on that, and I created like a whole bunch of content, and now I'm reaping the benefits of that. But I was like, okay, well, I have nothing else. What's something that I can do? And I'm like, I can make lessons, And so I just devoted like so much of my time to that. And so that's really the beauty of it, is when one thing dries up for one reason or another, then, you know, something else, you can do something else. It gives you all of these options. And I think that that's what's so important, is it gives you that backup plan. And I think you mentioned that before, but I wanted to give like a concrete, like real example of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So how long does it take to build a successful content business? Launch to earned first dollar, on average, takes 6.5 months. And in order to get there, you're going to need to know who's your target audience. What's their biggest problem? How do you solve that problem? That's what a business owner knows about their audience. And to be that business owner, to be serious, whether you're just talking about Weird Al Yankovic, or whether you're, giving advice on how to go to a concert and things of that nature, whatever it is, you need to know who you're talking to, what's their biggest problem, and how can you solve that problem. And that's how you get to your first earned dollar in 6.5 months. Then in 17 months, on average, people who are content entrepreneurs are supporting one person. So if you have a partnership, you might be like only half supported, but that's okay. If it's
Right.
what keeps you going, then a partnership's the way to go. And then at 25 months, hired help for the first time. You maybe get a VA, or you hired somebody on Fiverr, or whatever it is. You're spending a little bit of money because you're making enough money to feel comfortable doing that.
Mhm.
What do you think? Anything else?
I mean, I think that this is all great. I think that it kind of shows, though, that you do have to be doing other things. This may be a longer timeline for people who aren't married or on their own,
Yeah,
because you're not going to be able to do content creation full time. Like you're going to have to side gig it, which it is something that is fine. I mean, a lot of us side gig it, and then as it grows and grows and grows, then we transition more into being full-time content creators. It's a
that's right.
process. So don't look at these months and think, "Oh, well, I'm successful or I'm not." Success is a different timeline for everybody. These are averages.
That's right. Those are averages. And it's really cool because your first dollar might just be somebody donated to you, somebody put money into your Patreon, or in some way, maybe they sent you something through the mail that was cool. Maybe it wasn't even a
Yeah.
dollar. Maybe it was a gift of some kind that you could
Right.
really use. Well, that was the amount of that gift was money you didn't have to spend. So, and that's happened. I mean, I I can tell you how many things people sent me, uh, jewelry and other things, liquor and stuff, that they sent
Woo! You got
because
booze?
YouTube. Oh, yeah, we did. We got all kinds of things. We even got invited to spend a weekend at somebody's really, really, really fancy, they call it a cabin, but it's like on the top of this hill. It looks down over this lake, and it's just gorgeous. It's a mansion, and we're like, so things like that can happen because you are a star on YouTube or whatever, because you're a content entrepreneur and people look to you as a leader. So yeah, a lot of great things can happen, and not just money.
Awesome.
It's a lot of other stuff going on as well.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
if you like today's lesson, then join the waiting list for the upcoming Livecast lifestyle course that
That's right.
Shelly is putting together. She'll put the link, we'll put it in the show notes, and then we'll also put it in the chat. And you can also subscribe to the Women Conquer Business newsletter. Every week, I send out one actionable tip, one strategy for your marketing that, as a small business owner, you can pursue. I think we're starting to run out of time, so let's skip tweaks of the week, since both of us were kind of about it, and we can come back to those later. Let's move ahead to the inspirational nugget.
All right, inspiration.
Yeah.
Today's inspiration comes from Seneca's Moral Letters. And he said, "This is what you should teach me, how to be like Odysseus. how to love my country, wife, and father, and how, even after suffering shipwreck, I might keep sailing on course to those honorable ends. If you got everything else wrong from the Odyssey, but you left understanding the importance of perseverance, the dangers of hubris, the risks of temptation and distraction, then you really learned something. Well, we have to
I
ask
got
ourselves,
really excited. I thought we were going to talk about the Iliad
did
and Odyssey today and
can
Odysseus.
you tell us more about what the Odyssey means to her?
So it's really about going on a big journey and staying the course, and
Mhm.
there's all kinds of perseverance that happens along the way.
That's right.
And I think it's really important to really show that determination and perseverance. That's like the next question is like, can I show Odysseus like determination and perseverance? And it really is the case, I think, for what we're talking about today, which is you could be talking to no one for a long time, but if you just keep going, the people will learn. If you spend the time, getting people out there and understanding what it is that you do.
That's right. If you're trying to truly help people, if your focus is on the person behind the other side of that camera, it's going to happen because
Mhm.
that's how the universe works. You put money in the big vending machine of life, and you're going to get something back out again. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. Also, if you get those content creation systems in place, every Monday I do this, every Tuesday I do this, every Wednesday I do this, and you stay on track with those, just that simple system, then when things come up, like my mom had a stroke and I had to go help her out to transition back home,
Mhm.
I was still able to keep up with all of my work because I had a simple system. So build your system, build your support network so that when those things happen, and they always do, things always happen that throw us off course, that shipwreck, can you get back on track? If you
Mhm.
have that system, if you have that support network, you can get back on track. I had Jen stepped up. She took care of some things that normally I would be doing. Toby stepped up. He took care of the newsletter and some other things so that I was able to focus on being with my family and still
Mhm.
keep going. We could stay on track together. That's that support network and that system that we had in place.
It's so important. It's so
Yeah.
important. Thank you, Shelley.
Yeah.
What a great show. Thanks for leading us through this whole content creation process and sending over the
It's
tilt.
our lives, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what we're doing, man. So
This is our lives. This is what we do. So yeah, this is our topic, man. If you got any questions, we're here. We're ready to help you to follow along in our faltering footsteps and help you stay away from the shoals and the and the shipwrecks.
have a great week, everybody. Thank you for listening and watching the Women Conquer Business Show.
Thank you for joining the Women Conquer Business podcast, hosted by Shelley Carney and Jen McFarland. Please subscribe and leave a comment or question regarding your most challenging content creation or business problem. Then share this podcast with family and friends so they can find the support they need to expand their brand and share their message with the world. Check the show notes for links to valuable resources and come back again next week.